They were seated, yet they tremble as they were interrogated. They knew what was going to happen.
¿De qué gente eres? De Isidro.
Two young men, Alvaro Camacho and Hugo Cota Sepulveda, were accused of fighting for Fausto Isidro Mesa Flores, better known as El Chapo Isidro. Hours later, both were dead. Their captors, members of Los Calabazas, filmed every second. It was a warning, not just to Isidro's crew, but to anyone doubting who controls Sinaloa's mountains now.
Gentlemen, no one messes around with Mr. Guzman's mob. If you guys couldn't break through here in your improvised armored fighting vehicles, no a pie. Much less will you do so on foot. We're going to send you guys a gift from where we stand all the way to your doorsteps. Ustedes los que son unos ratas, traidores. You guys are nothing more than thieves and traitors. Chapo Isidro, why don't you send Lino J or that filthy gang that you have next to you instead of these pig snout losers?
And it was proof that Los Calabazas, backed by CJNG and Los Chapitos, are done hiding and they're mocking Mexico's president while they take back the Sierra. Let's unpack it all. The footage is hard to watch.
¿Cómo te llamas?
Hugo Cota Sepúlveda.
Hugo Cota Sepúlveda.
Cota Sepúlveda.
¿De qué gente eres?
Supuestamente dijeron que era gente de Chapo Isidro.
Del Chapo Isidro.
In front of the cameraman, two young men sitting in the dirt, their hands bound. They try to be calm, but you can see it on their faces. They know what's coming. Hugo Cota Sepulveda was just 24 years old. Beside him, Alvaro Camacho, 22, repeats what everyone in that clearing already knows. They were sent by El Chapo Isidro's men to fight in Hichopa, a small, blood-soaked town in the mountains of Sinaloa de Leyva. The interrogator keeps pressing, forcing them to name names. The video then skips ahead to a moment when both men are already closer to their tragic fate. Throughout the video, the men mention two names, El Muñeco and El Show, local commanders. But the Calabazas Cartel isn't looking for information. They're just recording humiliation. Both men admit they surrendered when the fight started, that they fired into the air just to survive. Their captors don't yell. They don't need to. Every question feels like a countdown. Then the camera pans away, the sound cuts. And when it comes back, both men are motionless. Hours later, the clip floods Telegram and narco channels across Sinaloa. As always, it's the gore that shocks people first. Such videos should never be online in the first place. But then, what makes it even more sinister is the message at the end. The Calabazas interrogator faces the camera and tells El Chapo Isidro to face them like a man, to stop sending young recruits as cannon fodder.
You sons of should try being men about these matters. Gente de boca de cañón. Don't think that you're going to stop me, you son of a because you've destroyed homes, tumbado casas, killed innocents, or chased after citizens that didn't have anything to do with our affairs. Before you know it, I'm going to destroy your... Y pronto les voy a ir a patear el culo, bola de culeros.
This was a strategy, a filmed declaration that the Calabazas, once a dying faction, are back under the protection of CJNG and El Guano Guzman, and they're ready to burn Sinaloa to the ground to prove it. Then came the names of the traitors who started it all, 03 and Beto Mafias, and that's where the real betrayal begins. In the narco world, betrayal brands you, and in Sinaloa's Sierra, alias 03 and Beto Mafias became the names told right before the trigger was pulled.
La traición del 03 y Beto Mafias es mencionada con particular resentimiento en el video. Ambos operadores habían trabajado directamente bajo las órdenes de Mario Calabazas durante años.
Hugo and Alvaro's bosses used to be Calabazas' family, the men trusted with roots, cash, and soldiers under Mario Alberto Lugo Lara, known as Mario Calabazas, the founder of the faction. When Mario died mysteriously in 2023, a death the authorities ruled an overdose, rumors said 03 and Beto had handed him over. The 2023 report said the leader of Los Calabazas, who had a feud with Fausto Isidro Mesa Flores, El Chapo Isidro, was reportedly found at an uncle's house in the town where he was from. If even the report named El Chapo Isidro as his arch-nemesis, you can imagine the cartel world knew it too.
He was handed over to his daughter, sister, and other relatives who showed up. We still don't know the cause of his death because, as he didn't have any trauma, it was necessary to do tissue studies, and those take a while. We don't have the results yet.
Do you have any suspicions that it
wouldn't be advisable to risk anything? We don't have any lines right now that allow us until we have the expert reports.
No one believed the overdose story. To the Calabazas Cartel, Mario's fall was a setup, and the timing made sense. Both 03 and Beto had just defected to El Chapo Isidro.
Uno de los aspectos más reveladores del video es la mención del 03 y Beto Mafias como figuras que anteriormente pertenecían a los Calabazas, pero que en agosto del año anterior cambiaron de bando hacia las filas del Chapo Isidro.
They carried secrets worth millions. Think exact locations of safe houses, weapon stockpiles, and the stash routes that connected Guasave to El Fuerte, two vital corridors for drug shipments heading towards Sonora and the US. That defection crippled the Calabazas network overnight. Dozens of their men were ambushed, and by the time the dust settled, Isidro's forces had seized their strongholds across the northern mountains. But betrayal in this world always comes full circle. The Calabazas vowed revenge, not just against 03 and Beto, but against anyone wearing Isidro's badge. That's why Hugo and Alvaro, those young recruits captured on video, were executed so publicly. They were stand-ins for their commanders. Journalists hinted at this as soon as the video dropped.
Porque por ahí circuló un video que a mí me llegó completo el video, pero yo no lo quise difundir, me creo Jesús, de gente de GDG.
And deep beneath all this bloodshed, another theory spreads that La Mayitza, the faction led by Ismael El Mayo Zambada, may have quietly supported the betrayal to weaken Isidro's rivals. Because in this war, alliances are always carved into corpses. The question now is, who's pulling the strings of Los Calabazas? Because what comes next looks too coordinated to be random vengeance. Weeks after the executions, something bigger came into focus. A terrifying pattern. The Calabazas weren't fighting alone. They were being supplied, backed, and protected. For months, rumors across the Sierra spoke of new trucks, new rifles, and men who didn't sound local. Locals said they saw convoys moving with military precision, the kind that belongs to super-organized global cartels.
Desde Jalisco, el cártel de Jalisco tiene pues hombres armados muy bien entrenados, tiene automóviles.
It all started to make sense once rumors surfaced of a secret meeting between Los Chapitos and CJNG.
En este rancho de Pacheco, Nayarit, se celebró la semana pasada una reunión clave entre emisarios de Audias Flores Silva, alias El Jardinero, mano derecha de El Mencho y representante de los Chapitos.
That line changed everything. It meant the Calabazas had forged an alliance with Aureliano El Guano Guzman, brother of El Chapo and uncle to Los Chapitos, effectively linking them to the most dangerous network in Mexico. According to investigators, that summit forged a joint front to wipe out La Mayitza, the faction loyal to Ismael El Mayo Zambada, and by extension, Chapo Isidro. The alliance wasn't just talk either. Within weeks, CJNG-grade drones and armored pickups began appearing in Sinaloa's northern Sierra.
Fuerzas Especiales Unión, y que utiliza un parche con la figura de un gallo, símbolo de Nemesio Ceguera Cervantes, alias El Mencho, líder de la organización de las 4 letras, y una rebanada de pizza por los Chapitos.
To some experts, it can look temporary, a sort of marriage of convenience. After all, El Mencho and Los Chapitos were sworn enemies, but in the words of this sicario,
in this business, even the worst enemy can be your ally when it's convenient.
It's true. Loyalty shifts fast in the cartel world, and that's the cruel irony. While people constantly change sides and make deals, betrayal is still being punished in the most violent way. Analysts agree that the sicario's remark fits in this context too. Journalist José Luis Montenegro summed it up perfectly.
Por querer acaparar más, se sale del huacal y empiezan las fricciones entre estos dos personajes.
Yeah, that was El Chapo Isidro's motive. Skip ahead a few months, and the Calabazas, once a fragmented local crew, suddenly had long-range firepower, encrypted radios, and logistical cover from 2 of Mexico's most powerful cartels. And while the video showed them executing Isidro's recruits, what they didn't show was even more alarming. The silent coordination behind every move. The drones scouting roads before ambushes, the Chapitos gunmen securing escape routes, the CJNG handlers providing real-time intel from Jalisco. Montenegro added what everyone in Sinaloa already knew about El Chapo Isidro.
Es muy probable que caiga en los próximos días. Básicamente, según Montenegro, la fiscalía lo tiene en la mira como si fuera oferta del Buen Fin.
The new narco trinity, CJNG Muscle, Chapitos Reach, and Calabazas Terrain, are now facing El Chapo Isidro and reclaiming a territory bigger than he ever held. Together, they've turned the northern mountains into a war laboratory, and the deaths of Isidro's men are basically the flag they just planted. So when those two captives begged for mercy on camera, the world saw cruelty. But for the people of Sinaloa, it was a message. There's a new order in the Sierra, and it answers to no government. Here's how analysts believe Mexico's president is being openly mocked. It didn't take long before the video stopped being a cartel message and turned into a national joke. Within hours of it going viral, memes flooded social media. Clips of President Claudia Sheinbaum promising peace is returning to Sinaloa were stitched next to execution footage.
President Claudia Sheinbaum shared a video and a message on social media about her visit to Sinaloa. She wrote, "We are going to return peace to Sinaloa by addressing the causes and moving towards zero impunity. You are not alone."
The contrast was brutal and hard to miss. A president claiming order while cartels did what they did to Hugo and Alvaro. There were even rumors that soldiers inside the National Guard were saying that the Calabazas zones were no-go areas. Troops reportedly refused to enter certain stretches near Hichopa and Guasave without prior contact with CJNG intermediaries, the very people the government swore it was hunting. The mockery became more than online ridicule. It was a public collapse of credibility. Now, this is happening at the same time as Donald Trump's cartel crackdown. During his tariff announcement, he accused Sheinbaum's administration of working with cartels. He said Mexico's leaders were offering safe haven to dangerous cartels. Sheinbaum fired back. "We categorically reject the White House's slanderous claim that the Mexico government has alliances with criminal organizations, as well as any attempt to intervene in our territory." And she wasn't done. If there is anywhere that such an alliance in fact exists, it is in the United States gun factories that sell high-powered weapons to these criminal groups. Her defense went viral, but so did the irony. As she denied ties to cartels, the Calabazas video was still spreading, subtitled in English, and framed as proof that her army had lost control of the Sierra. Inside Mexico, though, the reaction was darker. Governors from all 31 states issued a joint statement rejecting the narco government label, but it didn't stop citizens from asking why the cartels seemed freer than ever.
Cada incursión indebida, cada pleito.
Except now that alliance looked bigger than anyone expected. CJNG and Los Chapitos united, something even cartel experts and the Mexican military weren't expecting. And the one thing binding them together was contempt for Isidro, for the state, for the president herself. So this is way more serious than online mockery. Here's why experts believe it's about to get much worse before it all calms down. As Mexico's political firestorm grew, Fausto Isidro Mesa Flores, El Chapo Isidro, was losing his war on the ground. For decades, his group controlled much of northern Sinaloa, building a shadow empire alongside La Mayiza, the network tied to Ismael El Mayo Zambada. But now, even that alliance is breaking apart.
El Chapo Isidro y el Machito Flaco, que hace unos meses se juraban amor eterno en narcomensajes con logos compartidos, ahora andan como ex tóxicos peleándose por la custodia del territorio.
That line hit hard because it captured what locals already saw. Cartel marriages rarely last. The Isidro-Mayito pact fell after Isidro's men crossed into Guano Guzman's ranches, triggering violent reprisals from Los Chapitos' side.
El punto de quiebre, la gente del Guano, que en teoría estaba de espectadora, pero que sacó el machete cuando vieron gente de Isidro metiéndose en su rancho. Y ahí es donde empezó el chispero.
Suddenly, Isidro was fighting on three fronts: the Chapitos, the Calabazas, and his own ex-allies. Add to that, the FBI's renewed hunt, a $5 million bounty, new drone surveillance over the Sierra, and rumors that U.S. intelligence had intercepted coordinates of his safe houses.
Que es muy probablemente, pues no sé si seguro o no, que el Chapo Isidro caiga.
Even his lieutenants started disappearing. El Muñeco, El Show, and Beto Mafias were either dead or hiding. His La Mayiza contacts reportedly stopped sending funds, leaving his soldiers unpaid. If sources are right, Isidro's remaining network in Guasave is now encircled by CJNG-backed checkpoints, each manned by ex-Calabazas sicarios who once worked for him. Now, intelligence circles rumor that the US and Mexico are both closing in. One Mexican outlet even claimed Isidro's coordinates had been sold out by someone close. If that's true, his story ends the same way it began, with betrayal. But experts warn this is no longer about El Chapo Isidro, not even about El Mayo's faction, but about the alliance that's threatening to control Mexico like never before. What began as a local execution video has now become something much larger, a symbol of Mexico's loss of control. As reports revealed this fall, the CJNG Chapitos alliance is mutating into a multinational, multi-cartel power block that doesn't answer to any state. One expert summed it up in a single warning.
Jalisco se está aprovechando. Los Chapitos pues tienen muchísimos contactos en Sudamérica, en El Salvador, en Guatemala, en Colombia, en Ecuador, en Venezuela.
That's what analysts fear most, that El Mencho's CJNG is quietly embedding itself inside Sinaloa's chaos, using the Chapitos' need for muscle as a Trojan horse. So in this new war, every alliance is a takeover waiting to happen. It means their war isn't confined to Mexico anymore. It's a hemispheric trade network, narcotics flowing north, weapons flowing south, and governments caught in between. And with Trump's second-term tariff offensive, that alliance is only getting stronger. By calling President Claudia Sheinbaum's government narco-friendly, Trump didn't scare them. He only validated their story. The cartels now point to his speech as proof that Washington sees Mexico's state as fractured, powerless, and corrupt. Mexico's economy minister, Marcelo Ebrard, said, accusing the Mexican government of being an ally of narco-traffickers is, apart from an insult to our country, a pretext to distract U.S. public opinion from the tremendous mistake of imposing disruptive tariffs on Mexico. Yeah, a distraction and a message to the world that the president no longer has any power. And the irony is, those tariffs really are making things worse. Factories shut down, jobs vanish, and thousands of desperate migrants, many from the same regions controlled by CJNG, are being funneled right into cartel pipelines. In other words, Trump's crackdown might be feeding the very monster he claims he's fighting. Meanwhile, CJNG's grip tightens. The alliance now absorbs smaller crews from Durango, Chihuahua, and Sonora, giving it a reach bigger than Isidro ever had.
El cártel de Jalisco tiene pues hombres armados muy bien entrenados, tiene automóviles.
That's not hyperbole. It's the kind of force capable of holding territory, not just terrorizing it. So every clip of Mexico's president saying, Mexico is safer than ever, becomes a meme stitched next to drone footage of explosions in Sinaloa, and the world watches. The war's no longer hidden, it's televised and monetized by El Mencho. Please feel free to share your thoughts with us in the comments below, and don't forget to subscribe to our channel for more in-depth videos like this. Meanwhile, click on any of the cards on your screen right now to watch more of our videos.